Power City! City 1, Chelsea 0. Manchester City, Premier League champions. I got the tickets a day before the game. Thanks to Big Steve, MCFC, for that. Go follow him on his Instagram page and his Twitter page. And go and watch him on the other channels like the Big Six Show and stuff like that. There's my tickets. There's my match day programme. There's my picture with Big Steve afterwards. And there's another one. It's because I would have been watching it on my telly over there if he didn't hook me up with the tickets a day before, because I didn't manage to get tickets on my own because of, I checked like a week or so, maybe last week, the week before, and then the tickets were sold out. The atmosphere was magnificent at the ground in the away end today. I think Chelsea's atmosphere is overrated because you hardly heard a noise from any of their fans like during the game, and I think that game was a bit of a Thomas Tuchel disaster class, because they didn't, even when like we went a goal up, and you'd thought you'd see more of them like trying to like get back into it, but it didn't happen for them. Like in previous times, I think like because we pressed them so well and we didn't give them as many like room to like get through the defence and like get the crosses into the box. I think Diaz and Rodri were magnificent with Bernardo, Foden and Kevin. Grealish could have had two, the 1-on-1 and the one that clipped the outside of the post. That feels like a massive statement, that, to me. And this is what I've got to say to Chelsea. Revenge is sweet to Chelsea. I thought Gabriel Jesus is in our first 11 at the moment. He's probably one of the best signings that we've made. Even though he's taken a couple of years to get going and to see the play that we wanted to see that we paid for him from Palmeiras. I think he's more like of a natural presser and chasing down on like players and the keeper of teams. He's more, because like Aguero, he doesn't really he didn't have like the energy or like the fitness to like press on players. Well, yeah, he did probably when he was a bit younger, but like as he got older, you didn't really see that from Sergio or other strikers that we've had at the football club before. I'm so glad that we haven't got Lukaku, because his touch was absolute shocking, like it was at United. His offside goal was the only thing that he really had involvement in the game. Diaz and Laporte, I like to call it as De for Diaz and Port for Laporte. Laporte did well to come back in and like against a really good team, champions of Europe, and step in and play the way that he did. Yes, you could say it was a bit harsh on Ake on how he played in the previous couple of games, like getting the goal versus Leipzig and his good performance last week at home to Southampton. But I think Diaz and Laporte is going to be our centre-back partnership for the next couple of games. So the big games certainly at the moment, because Stones hasn't hardly played this season. He was on the bench today. He got a good representation when he was warming up in the fans. All the fans were clapping him in the City end, and it was good to see him back. But I don't see him getting into the team unless he does what he did like last season and fight for his place and get back to fitness and have that desire to play for the club and to stay and keep his place and fight for his place to get back in the side. I don't think there was much of a fullback problem, especially in the left side. I thought Cancelo was absolute class. He handled Lukaku and their front three really well. Walker looked better today as well, and I think Bernardo Silva, that reminded me of the performance that he made in the 2-1 win versus Liverpool in 18-19, which was on the 3rd of January, which was actually my dog's birthday. And we also did beat Chelsea in this exact same very fixture on my dog's birthday as well, on the 3rd of January. I think that's how we need to play when we come up against Tuchel next, because I think like the way that we're playing against them before, they sort of figured out how to play against us. I think like for the big games certainly, I think for top five Torres can handle himself, and like for the bottom of the table clubs. But I think if you come up against like a top four, top three title rival side, I don't think he's good enough, and I don't think he like gets enough involvement in the game. Because I think they just mark him out of the game, and he struggles with like his movement in those type of games. But I think you do go false nine in my opinion for PSG and Liverpool, and then maybe like for a game that you would expect us to get through pretty comfortably, then you put Torres back in. I know it's harsh on him, because when he has come in and he's done all right and he has got a couple of good goals and a couple of good involvements, but I think like at this moment in current time, it's too big of games to put him in there. If I was giving the player ratings, I'd say Ederson gets a 7 out of 10. He didn't really do much, because I don't remember them having a shot on target or like he did collect some crosses in quite well, because that's where most of their threats are coming from, like on that right and left hand side. I didn't even know Reece James was playing today. I thought he was he looked a bit like out of place, and not like the one that they know and love that was in the England squad and that had a great season last season. I think City need to go into that Liverpool game and not get beat. I think it's not a must-win game now that we got the result here today. Because when I was going into this game, where I've seen us play against Leicester, we got the 1-0 win, and then we also played them in the Community Shield where we looked really poor, and it was not a first 11, and we looked not sharp enough, and we looked tired and not good that day. Then we played Tottenham. Then it was just a sort of thing with dominating the play but not having a clinical striker to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think if we'd have beat Tottenham that day, Harry Kane would be a Man City player now, because he'd realised that he'd wanted to go, and then he wouldn't have left the price up to how much he was going to do it. Okay. Ederson, I'd say 7. Walker and Cancelo get 9 out of 10s from me. Diaz and Laporte, 10 out of 10. I thought they were class. Bernardo Silva, 10 out of 10. Rodri, 10 out of 10. KDB, I'd say 7.5 out of 10. I'd say Foden run his socks off, 8 out of 10. Jesus, 9 out of 10. Mahrez, Sterling and Fernandinho, 5 out of 10, because they didn't really have enough time to make any impact on the game. But I still thought I'd give them a discussion, because I think they had enough time on the pitch to still learn to rate him. I think there was a point where you might not have seen it if you weren't at the game and you watched it on the telly, where all the players were like high-fiving each other and like hugging each other in a huddle, and they looked like they did what Chelsea did when they played Liverpool at Anfield when they drew 1-1 a couple of weeks back in the first 3 weeks of the season. I think the fans were the 12th man today as well, because the away end was absolute class. Chants, singing, dancing, celebrating, absolute class, and the best away atmosphere that I've ever experienced, and they can shove that up their arse if all rival fans that say we have no fans. We have more fans than all of them, because they're all like the workers were like City fans. Because when we were going into the ground, he was saying a Man City supporter, he said he couldn't say anything. I think he was a Man City fan, but he couldn't say anything because he's a steward, because he'd get in trouble if he said something. There was a point where there was a load of stewards going over to like the other far end of the City end and the Chelsea end, I think, because to stop out causing trouble. The security, there was a lot of more security than I've seen at like Wembley and lots of other grounds, because I think like they might have heard one of our fans saying that they were going to get on the pitch if we score, and then they like all crowded around to probably stop us. I think Bernardo Silva is key to Man City winning the Premier League. If Man City win the Premier League this season, I think Bernardo Silva will have a huge part to play in it, because he hasn't had his greatest seasons like prior to this one, because 18-19 is his own like really good season. I think the first season he took a bit of time to get settled in. It was like Leroy Sané, like every player needs a first season to like settle in, and then once they get into the second season, they end up being world class and becoming a quality player. I think Pep's a much better tactical manager than Tuchel, because I thought he got his tactics spot on today. The Fernandinho change and Foden off was probably the right call to, because Fernandinho could sweep it up, and Foden was probably knackered because he ran his little socks off, and Jack Grealish could have had two, and he did link up well with Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva today, and Cancelo. I think you've seen that desire from the players and the management staff of Man City that we really needed the 3 points today. Because even though a draw wouldn't have been a bad result at Stamford Bridge, I think you'd be walking away saying that a result for Chelsea, like a draw, would be a better result for them, and we'd be walking away feeling like we've got beat. But we move on Tuesday night to PSG in Paris, and we could be coming up against a player that we could have signed, Lionel Messi. I'm not sure, because I have heard that he could be out injured, but if he is injured, I can see us beating them like we did in the Champions League semi-finals over 2 legs. We were fantastic on the counter-attack and on the break in that semi-final second leg when Mahrez got a brace, and Mahrez and De Bruyne stepped up big time in those 2 ties, and they got us through it. I think if we do get to the Champions League final again, or if we might even get to it this year, that is in St. Petersburg, I would say we need to play a CDM, because I don't think you can play a CDM. You can not like win a game whilst not playing a CDM, because I think CDM is the most important position in football, because you've got to like be there to defend and put the tackles in, and you can also like have long ranges on the edge of the box and stuff like that. I think Fernandinho is also a leader. I'm gonna be gutted next season, whatever you want to call it, when he does go, because I think that is pretty likely. But I think that's fair, because he's been a great servant to the club. I mean, and he'll probably be a coach next season. Whether it's with Man City or not, I don't know. But I think if he does go into a coaching stuff, I don't see it not being with Man City. I think I'd say take it by game. Don't get like over frustrated. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Come on, Blues. On to Tuesday night. Come on, the boys in blue. Get in.